Hey, I'm Pat Monahan from the band Train, and you're watching the Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Catch up on past interviews and episodes on demand now.
Subscribe so you don't miss any of it.
Yo, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, you guys look so much better than me. Look at I look like I'm in like a prison.
Yeah, you're in like a basement.
I'm in my mom's basement with her Christmas lights.
I mean, you could be in worse places, let's be honest.
I could be.
This is true.
Look, let's get right into this. Multi-Grammy award-winning, diamond-selling band Train, brand new record coming out on May 20th entitled AM Gold. Going to be hitting the road with Jewel and Blues Traveler, kicking off June 8th in Mansfield. 35 stops across the U.S. and A. Get your tickets and pick up this record wherever you get your music. Welcome to the show, the one, the only, and future Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee. Let me throw that out there. Pat Monahan from Train. There he is.
Oh, hey guys, thanks for that. I've never been introduced as a diamond recording artist, but that felt pretty good. Could you just say it one more time?
One more time, and I'll use my voiceover voice. Diamond selling artist, Pat Monahan from Train.
Look at that. Oh, wow. Because all I care about is money. And so this really hits the spot for me. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah.
We'll clip that out and send it to you later for your socials.
Yeah, posterity purposes, you know?
Thank you.
First things first, I just want to, of course, we're going to talk about this brand new record. Drops of Jupiter celebrated its 20th anniversary last year. And, of course, you infamously sang the lyrics, Van Halen is overrated.
I know, man. I got a lot of heat. It was right when the internet was starting. So with the misinterpretation, I was like, oh, no. Hey, whoa, I love Van Halen. And that was really funny that was the one misinterpreted or interpreted lyric.
Yeah,
Right.
I was
but,
reading.
But he is right, though. David Lee Roth Van Halen is overrated. Sammy Van Halen is, of course, better.
I don't know. I know Sammy really well, but those David Lee Roth days were pretty special.
Yeah, but then we got 5150.
Now,
those.
you know what? We just opened a can of worms here. Okay, so it's a Team Dave, Team Sammy. Which is it, Pat? Or are you Team Van Halen?
I'm Team Van Halen. I love Sammy Hagar. He's a friend of mine, and I love his work in Van Halen. I loved before he was in Van Halen. Like, he was one of my first concerts, and I was like, this guy doesn't stop. He was running on the stage like he was like he was doing a Richard Simmons workout or something. It was wild, but singing the entire time. I've never seen David Lee Roth live. I've heard some things, so that I'd probably rather see him when he was younger, but I don't know.
Yeah. I went to see him in Vegas, like at the last residency, and the band was great. Dave was doing the whole shtick and stuff, but man,
yeah, the shtick is the best part. I mean, you know, I golfed with Eddie a few times, and Eddie was the sweetest guy ever, and I really miss him. I wish I could spend more time with him. He means a lot to me as a musician, but also he ended up meaning a lot to me as a guy.
Yeah, especially as a rock fan growing up. I mean, like getting into golf with Eddie Van Halen. I mean, it must be a surreal thing, like just from a fan perspective.
Yeah, you try not to talk about it. You know, when you're with him, you don't say, "Oh my God, dude, I can't believe." You know, you don't pull the Chris Farley from Saturday Night Live. You know, remember when you did the riff and you know. So you just don't talk about music when you're with somebody you admire like that. You talk about golf.
Yeah. Could you air guitar eruption on your 3-wood for me?
On my 3-wood? Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be so funny if I was like, bro, can you just? Yeah, I didn't do any of that. I didn't want to lose my chance to do it again.
Yeah, play Panama on the wedge. Come on, do it.
Yeah.
That's the greatest. All right, let's go.
Yeah, look, brand new record coming out. Obviously, Train's been around, since the mid '90s at this point. I discovered you when I was being on the radio. I mean, like when I first got into Hot AC radio in like 2012, Drive By was like a power rotation on our station. Like and then it allowed me to go back and listen to the previous records. And I mean, everything from Drops of Jupiter, the first record up to this point. Like, how do you keep it interesting? And how do you still basically have songs in the can?
Yeah, that is a good question. I think it has to do with my desire to be relevant. Somebody said to me once, "Hey man, when you're a heritage band," and I was like, "What? I don't want that." Like that to me was always a 4-letter word, and I don't want to rely on the past. I would love. You know, I think David Bowie is a very inspiring artist who continued to recreate who David Bowie was. And
right.
Look, I'm no David Bowie, but I'm my own version of whatever I can be. And I want to continue to try to reinvent what I do.
Mhm.
Well, in fact, talk to me about the importance of reinventing yourself, because there are a few artists that have been successful at it, whether it's Madonna or U2. They've been able to, and fans sort of have this expectation that they have to grow and they have to move. But then you have other bands like AC/DC that sort of just go, hey, this is we're AC/DC, we just do what we do. Why not take that approach and just say, listen, we'll play our three chords, we'll give you some power lyrics, and off we go?
Because we never got to be the biggest band in the world. You know,
Right.
if you find a niche that makes you sell stadiums out all over the planet, then yeah, stick with what you do. But if you're you know, you're doing well and you're selling tickets and you're creating things that your fans like and you want your fan base to grow, then you have to continue to try to grow yourself. That's pretty much the best answer I could give you.
That's the best answer. You got to work, of course, with Brendan O'Brien as a record producer, and he's done so many bands that are heavy, whether it's Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, etc. Talk to me about working with him and not going out and getting a more pop producer.
Well, we did. We made our first album with Meet Virginia on it. It was just called Train, and we were writing Drops of Jupiter. Drops of Jupiter, the song was not written, and at the time I heard a song on the radio and I looked into who the producer was. I don't care who producers are, and I never have longed for it, but I asked my record company, hey, can we look into Brendan O'Brien? They laughed at me, and then they put us in a room with a guy called Walter A. His name is Walter Afanasieff, and he's an amazing artist. Like he did all the piano stuff and everything for Madonna, and that's the direction that they wanted me to go in. And then we worked with Walter, and as fun as it was, it got us nowhere, and we weren't writing any, it's just not who I am in my person. And then when we asked Brendan, he had just booked working on a Limp Bizkit record, and it fell through. Something happened between him and Fred. I don't know if it was negative or time thing, but he said, so my 3 months just opened up, so I'll do it. And so then we worked with Brendan and made Drops of Jupiter. But when we handed the record in, my record company was like, there's no song here for us. And so I lost my mom and was very sad and depressed and had a dream and wrote Drops of Jupiter in 15 minutes about her and handed it into Columbia Records. And they were like, man, not just did you hand us a single, but you handed us the song of the year.
Right.
Wow.
And after the song sort of becomes the song of the year and becomes so huge, when you come back with the next record, do they sort of look at you and say, we're not hearing another Drops. Could you go write one of those again for us? I mean, do they become a little bit more?
No, the next single was Calling All Angels, and they felt that they could feel that one right away. And that was actually a strange song for me because, you know, all those first four records was not a happy time in my life. I was not in a good marriage, and I was, you know, not a happy person. No matter how much success would have come to me, it was not gonna fill the hole.
Right.
And and Calling All Angels was a conversation that I had with my therapist at the time, who said, you know, humans are made up of angels and traitors, and your traitors are winning. You need to call your angels. And I was like, boom, that sounds like something that maybe everybody should hear.
Yeah, that's the message. It's interesting how you're able to take, you know, real personal experiences and then put it into the song, and so many people relate to it. I mean, like, being that vulnerable, it can be daunting.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that though. Like, I probably wouldn't run for politics, because if you want to find some dirt on me, you will, because that's everybody.
Right.
But I'm not really afraid of people seeing who I am. Like, I've never been afraid of that. I try to do the right thing as often as I can do the right thing, and occasionally mess up. And if you get to see that, then that's fine. But I'm not, you know, I'm not groping women or doing anything that shouldn't be done anyway. So songwriting is like that, is like my real life to me. It's like, it's kind of boring, to be honest.
What is the songwriting process for you like? I mean, does it start with a couple of chords and melody, or is it like a subject matter? Because,
you know, a lot of times I'll hum into my iPhone and send it to my bandmates, and the next day they'll have some chords written down, and I'll write, and sometimes it's garbage, and sometimes it's a lot of fun, and it's just it's always different. Like Drops of Jupiter, as I mentioned, was me humming into a dictaphone because we didn't have iPhones and writing all the lyrics down and then the next day demoing it. So it doesn't matter where it comes from, wherever it's coming from, just keep them coming.
Mm-hmm. You sang one of my favorite notes of all time in recorded music. Where you did the wind sweep you off your feet, and the delay hits the feet. When you get that mix back and you hear the delay on your voice, like
oh yeah,
do you let the mix engineer like make that artistic choice and put the delay on, or like do you have a say in any of that?
That was Brendan. He's very good at recording music, man, and we did that song, and he uses. I don't know if he still does. I haven't seen him in many years, but he uses what's called a plate, which is it's a big machine which actually reverberates inside the plate. So it's different than like a software app. And so I think that's why it sounded so beautiful. Or I mean, not to say my voice is beautiful, but to say that sound was so perfect for that.
Oh no, it's like one of the most perfect performances in recorded music.
Cool, that's awesome. Thanks.
That little bit I love, and also talking about plates. That's also the secret to Van Halen 1, those first 6 records, because
really
the plate at Sunset Sound, they always put that on Ed's guitar, and later on,
also at Universal Studios in LA, they have an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Right.
So they'll send it down to a room that's just a hollow room to send your pretty cool, man.
Yeah. That's how Bob Clearmountain did all that stuff before plugins. Like they put up a PA system at at the recording studio, put it through the stairwell and put mics at the bottom. And that's how you got your cannonball snare.
Yeah. All the plugins is fake everything else.
Pretty much. Yeah. What's the recording process for you like these days? I mean, with this record, was it sort of like the isolation pandemic record, or were you able to get into the studio and do it proper?
We did both. I mean, I had to write virtually, which kind of broke my heart in the beginning. And then when we figured out how to do it and be creative and get something positive out of it, then it was like, okay, now we can move.
Right.
And then when we had songs, we would get together with Butch Walker and record them properly because we want to get live instruments on them. And then one of my favorite parts was getting to work with Rob Mathis and having him, write the strings and the horn, like those Philly sounds, because he knew the sound that we wanted, because this is, kind of a throwback era sort of record. And
it's called AM Gold. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. So he knew exactly how to make that sound. And while we were recording strings and horns, in comes Sting and Shaggy together as like the dynamic duo, and all of our minds were like, because Sting and Rob Mathis are very close friends, and it was a wild vision. And so and it ends up that Shaggy and Sting, who are very different musically, are very close friends.
Yeah, they go on tour together all the time.
Yeah, they're making a Frank Sinatra record right now, I think.
Wow.
Oh my God. Like all covers?
I think so. And
dude,
how weird and awesome is that going to be?
That's freaking awesome. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hey. Well, and of course you did your Led Zeppelin cover. Just quickly talk to me about the influence of Led Zeppelin in your music, and what does sort of Plant's voice mean to you?
He meant Robert Plant was my musical hero. I just thought, so he was the authenticity that I loved in rock musicians. Like it was never pretentious. It was probably because he was British, and the Beatles were cool, but they were before me, and Led Zeppelin was like, it really, really made a difference. So I just wanted to do that. Right. And the reason we recorded Led Zeppelin too is because, Train as personnel has gone throughout the years is entirely different than how he started. And I wanted people to see how talented the actual musicians were in my band at the time. And I wanted that to be heard in a way that people could understand. And that's why we did that. And it was really cool because Led Zeppelin gave us their blessing, and we gave the money to our charity in San Francisco, and it all worked out.
Let me just quickly ask you about voice, because as we see some of our heroes from the 80s and 70s getting older, their voice is not as strong in concert because they were singing so high, and so the range was incredible. Are you now are aware of that when you make a record and say, okay, I gotta find a more middle voice so that in 20 years I can still perform this? Or do you not worry about that? And sort of how do you keep your voice strong for performances?
I drink as much wine as humanly possible.
Good plan.
And
Good
I'm
plan.
thinking that's why it's going well. But the real truth is I don't tell a lot of people, but a few years ago I had to have surgery because I did so much screaming
Right.
that I ended up having basically like calluses
Nodes?
on both folds. He didn't call them folds.
No.
He called it scar tissue.
Right.
And so that had to be fixed. And that scared the bejesus out of me.
Right, because it's kind of hit or miss, right?
That could have been the end of everything. And
Right.
I chose a brilliant guy from San Francisco, and I owe him, my livelihood. But he was very clear to say, if you want to not do this again, you have to figure out a better way to do this. So I've been trying to work on a better way to warm up, and I steam my vocal cords before I perform, and I try to be more mindful of, you can't just go out there and throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. You got to work out first. You need to stretch and be mindful.
Does that affect your songwriting in a sense, though, where you just say, okay, we can't write this song or use that word because I got to keep my voice within a certain range, and I got to be more delicate with what I do?
Yeah, do you have to be more conservative with with how you're writing?
I try not to think that way, because then I'm all of a sudden,
your own head,
thinking about the wrong stuff. Like I have to get the right song sung first, and then I can figure out how I'm going to do it live. But if I can do it once, that's all I need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can hit that note once and you can record it, I mean, every pop artist in the world's doing it. I can just let somebody hit play, out there live if I need that.
Yeah. Bring out the Pro Tools rig. Why not?
Yeah, dog.
Oh.
See, Mitch, he's not anti-playback. I like it. I like Pat.
Hey, we use tracks, but it's never vocals. It's always, string arrangements and things like that. That we don't really want to have 46 people on the stage right now.
Right. That's it. There's a lot of people in the media these days that are critical of bands that are using tracks, and I don't have a problem with it. I think it just adds to the show, and I think it, Mitch, we always say, with the price of concert tickets these days, fans expect the perfect show, and obviously you can't bring out a 56-piece orchestra. You need the tracks. I'm all about it.
It depends on how old you are too. I mean, if my 13-year-old and 10-year-old go to a concert with me, and it's a classic rock band, and they don't have all of the stuff their ears are used to hearing, they're going to look at me and be like, is everything okay up there? Like, it depends on how old you are, because if you're my age, you want to hear a bass guitar, a drum kit, an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, and a piano, and then you're good. But if you're a kid, you need to hear, all kinds of other Shazam stuff or whatever.
Yeah, you want to hear all the program beats and all the percussion and the synths and everything.
But it's important in this day and age that the show be perfect, because of Twitter and Facebook. If you go to the train show and it's a train wreck, pun intended, it's going to end up on Twitter. It's going to end up on Facebook. And then people down the road are going to go, well, I'm not going to go to that show. I'm not going to spend my $150 on that. It has to be perfect.
It's kind of the same with the national anthem, and why I hate doing the national anthem so much, because there's only two results.
Yeah.
I don't care, and you're a meme.
Right.
That's it. Those are the two. There's no in between. There's no gray.
Yeah.
But you've done the national anthem quite a bit. Let me just quickly talk to you about the Driver Dan story train.
Wow, I haven't talked about this in a long time.
I know. Talk to me about doing work outside of being a rock singer, being in television, being a voiceover. Is that something that interests you, where you'd want to at some point just go, you know what, I'm taking off a year and I'm just going to go be this Disney character?
Yeah, I've already started to dig into, we made, we have a Christmas album called Christmas in Tahoe. So we delivered it we brought it to Hallmark, and we're like, we're a perfect match if you can make a movie based on this album. They loved it, so we shot it, and my friend George Lopez was in it. And so we're trying to do another Hallmark movie where George and I are the main characters, and we go on tour or whatever we do.
That'd be awesome.
But George is recording, or he's filming right now, the next Marvel movie, which I'm very excited about for him.
Ooh.
But also, I am in the second draft of a musical. And that is, even though it's songwriting, it's very different and it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to do something that's a little bit different. But eventually I have to create whatever it is. If I want to be a movie star, I got to go make a movie. Like, this has just been the way my career has gone. No one's looking for a middle-aged white dude that is, average at golf and, can act okay. There's plenty of those out there. So I have to be creative on my own if I want that kind of thing.
You're going to love the musical process. I'm friends with Jim Valance, who wrote a musical with Bryan Adams called Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
And he said it was the absolute most horrific experience of his life, because he would write a song and he would be finished, and then he'd give it to the producer, and the producer would say, it doesn't fit with this dance routine. You got to go rewrite it. And it drove him nuts. So have fun with that.
Yeah, it really is. I don't have a big ego issue.
Right.
I'm okay with notes. But let me tell you, the last set of notes pissed me off.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah. Bryan Adams said it was almost as bad as writing songs with Mutt Lange.
That's funny. I like Bryan.
We love Bryan. There you go.
Look, we got to wrap up here. AM Gold, new record from Train, coming out on May 20th. You can get it wherever you pick up your music. Of course, they're going to be hitting the road this summer. Make sure you go and catch them. Fantastic live band. Pat, it was so great to meet you and chat. We'll have to do this again. Best of luck with the record.
Yeah, great to meet you guys. Where do you record out of? You're obviously in different places. Where
Montreal.
Are you?
Yeah, we're in Montreal, but we're down the road from each other. So
great. We shot Christmas in Tahoe in Canada. We were in Vancouver and Whistler.
Oh, nice. Fun. It's beautiful up there.
And I'm really good friends with a bunch of the Kraken guys. So, and because they can golf, like some of them are bangers.
Nice.
And we just golfed together because their season ended, and then they all flew home, and they're all Canadian, and then sent me pictures of all the snow that they got to fly into. They got murdered with snow when they got home.
All the Kraken on the golf course, they'll join the Leafs.
Yeah.
That's right.
Leafs in Boston.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
The Mitch Lafon and Jeremy White Show.
Available wherever you stream.
Catch up on past interviews and episodes on demand now.
Subscribe so you don't miss any of it.